That said, here are the things that I took during my healing journey that made a real difference for me. Myo and D-chiro-inositol, which is really well studied for insulin resistance and hormonal health, specifically in the context of PMOs. Magnesium, which I still take every single night, and which has been one of the most consistently impactful things for my sleep, my muscle recovery, my nervous system, and my period pain. Omega-3 fish oil, which I also still take daily and which supports so many different aspects of hormone health and inflammation. For my gut specifically, I took a liquid herbal antimicrobial to help address the candida overgrowth, glutamine powder to support gut lining repair, and MCT oil, which supports both gut health and stable energy. I also eventually added Nutrafol for hair health, which I felt made a real difference in the thickness and quality of my hair as things were healing. But again, I want to emphasize that these were based on what was identified through my testing as what my body specifically needed. They are not necessarily the right combination for everyone, and you should always be working with a healthcare provider when it comes to your supplement protocol. Another question that came up a lot was about what I avoid or what my non-negotiables are. And if I am being honest, the things that have the most consistent and predictable impact on how I feel are alcohol, refined sugar, and poor sleep. When I am consistent about avoiding or minimizing those three things, I feel noticeably better in almost every way. My skin is clearer, my digestion is smoother, my mood is more stable, my energy is more consistent, my sleep is deeper. It is like everything just works better when those three things are in check. And I know that can sound boring or like I am just saying the same things over and over, but the reason I keep coming back to these basics is because they are genuinely the foundation. They are the things that make the biggest difference and the things that if I let slide, I notice the consequences of pretty quickly. Alcohol in particular is one that I think is really important to talk about honestly because there is so much cultural pressure around drinking and so much normalization of it, and I completely understand that. But for someone who is dealing with hormone imbalances, alcohol is genuinely not your friend. It affects your liver function, which is deeply connected to how you process and clear hormones. It disrupts your sleep quality, even when it helps you fall asleep initially. It spikes your blood sugar, and it creates inflammation. So if you are in an active healing phase, I really encourage you to be as honest with yourself as possible about how alcohol is affecting you and whether it is worth it for where you are trying to go. When it comes to bloat, which is something so many of you mentioned struggling with, I just want to share what my kind of go-to protocol looks like when I am having a flare-up. Because I think there is something really reassuring about having a plan for those times when things feel off, rather than just feeling helpless and frustrated. So when I feel like my digestion is struggling, the first thing I do is simplify everything. Strictly water and herbal tea, no carbonated beverages at all, even the ones that are marketed as healthy. Warm cooked meals instead of raw vegetables or big salads. No processed snacks, no protein bars, keeping everything as whole and simple as possible. I reduce my caffeine intake. I try to get into the sauna if I can. I do legs up the wall, which is so simple but genuinely helps with that feeling of heaviness and inflammation. I do a gentle lymphatic massage on my stomach. And I make a real effort to slow down when I eat, to chew my food properly, and to not rush through meals. Those habits together almost always have me feeling significantly better within a few days. And I think having that toolkit is really powerful because instead of feeling like you are just at the mercy of your symptoms, you feel like you have some agency and some things you can actually do. I also want to speak to the experience of feeling dismissed because I think this is something that so many of us have been through and it takes a real toll. Feeling like the things you are experiencing are not being taken seriously by the people who are supposed to help you is isolating and demoralizing, and it can make you start to question yourself. And I just want to say so clearly, if you have been in that position, it was not you. Your symptoms were real, your experience was valid, and you deserve a practitioner who is going to sit with you and actually listen and actually dig into what is happening. If the person you are currently working with is not doing that, it is okay to seek out another opinion. It is okay to advocate for yourself,